Hello and welcome to the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the Deferred Sales Trust is the best way for you to sell highly appreciated cryptocurrency, business, real estate, save a failed 1031 exchange, defer millions of dollars in capital gains tax so you can create and preserve more wealth. Hey, I'm your host, Brett Swarts. In each episode, I'm joined by some of the best real estate, financial, crypto, and business minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. Hey, I'm excited about our next guest. She's out of Southern California in the Redondo Beach area, and she's the CEO of the Crypto Realty Group. And it's a Los Angeles-based firm specializing in conducting real estate transactions with cryptocurrency, and also the only realtor in California who has completed 5 Bitcoin transactions to date. She's a licensed international luxury realtor as well with eXp Realty, as well as a certified international property specialist and the only international designation recognized by the National Association of Realtors, and so much more. I'm so excited for you guys to hear from this guest. In fact, I first saw her on stage at the eXp Las Vegas event, which happened just like a month and a half ago. And there was a group of about, 2,500 people, I think, in one room, all crammed in to hear her and her business partners talk about what's revolutionary and changing the game of real estate. Please welcome to the show with me, Piper Moretti. Hey, Piper, how you doing?
Hey, great. Thanks for having me.
Excited to have you on the show. And for our listeners getting to know you for the first time, would you give us a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Oh gosh. Well, I actually fell into the whole crypto space at the end of 2016. So it's been a good hard 5 years now. When a buyer randomly found me online, was looking in my neighborhood here in Manhattan Beach, and wanted to buy a $3 million property with Bitcoin. And that's how I just went down this slippery slope. I won't get too far into the weeds on that whole transaction, but we made it work. It was the second one that had been done in California, the only one in Southern California. And then once we were able to figure that out, we went on to do 3 more with that buyer. And then I did another one up in Santa Barbara County. And fast forward to today, I've got about $21 million worth of in listings, and we're about to launch in the metaverse. It's crazy.
Insane. Oh my gosh. So much fun, right? Yeah. I love when you're telling the story in Vegas about how you kind of fell into this, right? And people kept asking you about it. And we'll dive into that a little bit more. Sure. And then we'll get into the transactions and kind of the secrets of all this. But I do want to take one other step back and help people to get to know you a little bit better. I want you to go back to maybe the high school days or even the college days, just the earlier career days. Okay. And I want you to think about this for a second. So I believe we've all been given certain gifts in this life, and these gifts have been given us to be a blessing and help to others. Some people call them strengths, some people call them superpowers. But I'm curious, what are those 1 or 2 gifts that you believe you were given, and how does that help how you help and bless people today?
Oh my goodness, that is such a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. I've never been asked that before. You know what? When I was growing up, I wanted to be an actor and a dancer and a singer, and I took all these amazing classes, and I took acting classes, and it wasn't until I actually, I moved out to LA and I really dug my teeth, stuck my teeth into the whole process. And most of acting is listening and being open. And I feel like that's you connect with, it's not just in a scene, let's say, but just in life. So I think it's more important to listen and to pay attention to what the other person is saying, and you understand their needs. And I believe I can make people feel comfortable and okay with working with me because I do really care. So I hope that answers your question.
It absolutely does. And it comes through. And that's why I love asking the question, because we're going to apply now that to exactly what we're talking about here. So I love that you said listening and being open. So now let's apply that to the number 1 secret to buying cryptocurrency with or buying real estate with cryptocurrency. So what's the number 1 secret when it comes to mine? And maybe you can tell us a little bit about maybe the first transaction, how this has all kind of come about.
Well, listening to your client, obviously, when this person found me, I thought, okay, this guy is either insane, he's trying to pull one over, or he's serious, and the more I talked to him, you get to know who your clients are. And he was dead serious, and so I thought, oh my gosh, I better get to work here. And at that time there weren't a lot of options with purchasing. And since then, there's collateralized loan options. There are a lot more banks that are willing to count it as an asset. So it's still, it goes back to listing. When I have clients call me, or potential clients call me every week, not really knowing what their options are. So you need to be educated and be able to walk them through what's best for them.
Yes, I think that is amazing, right? And I think when you were telling the story, yeah, you're saying like this guy is either like brilliant and amazing and totally talking about he actually has this wealth and the ability to pull this off, or he's crazy and I'm being scammed. But you were opened enough to explore that. So walk through that process of step by step and some of the hurdles that you had to overcome along the way to make this thing actually go.
Well, yeah. So the first hurdle, I think, was getting the seller agent on board. I mean, he was just dead set against it from the get-go, but they really wanted to sell this house. It had been sitting for a while, and my guys, they stepped up and they were going to pay cash for it at the end of the day. And he didn't really have a lot of other options. So he was kind of stuck with us there for a little bit. But from the get-go, he just thought we were trying to pull one over on him. And so every day he was coming up with some kind of excuse not to do business with us, just trying to poke holes in everything. And so that made the process that much more difficult. The other hurdle that we had to jump over was the transfer of funds. We didn't have an escrow company at that point that was set up with a payment processor that could actually do the conversion. So we literally had a roundtable with everybody that was involved: escrow, the buyer's agents, the seller's agents, the buyer, the seller. And we finally came to the conclusion that it would be best for the seller to open up a BitPay account, and that's the payment processor that we've been using, and then just transfer the funds directly. And that escrow would take care of the rest. Now, what happened was that was fine. It was all going great. Contingencies were met and it was smooth sailing for a little bit. But then 7 days before we're supposed to close, their attorneys got a hold of everything and said, it heard the word Bitcoin. And they were like, nope, you're out of here. We don't want anything to do with this transaction. We don't want to go to jail, whatever. And so they kicked us out of escrow, and we had to find an escrow company to close us in 7 days. And we did. And the rest is history. We were able to pull it off. But those were the major hurdles.
Oh my goodness. And I think of the perseverance, right? Of pushing up a big like boulder over top of a mountain, right? And you're going to have all of these little pebbles coming your way and things that are challenging, right? But you kept persevering through this. You found a BitPay account as one workaround, right? Or as one way to get the funds moving. And then you found an escrow that'll actually do it and do the deal. And so you did the first one, and all of a sudden it's like, you broke the 4-minute mile. I don't know if you've heard that story of the gentleman out of Oxford, England, right? For the longest time, they said that the 4-minute mile could not be broken, and it's humanly impossible. The heart would explode, the lungs would explode. Like no one can do it, and no one did it until one guy did it at 3 minutes and 59 seconds, and then within about, I think, the next 10 or 11 months, another 30 or 40 people did it as well. Like it broke it. So does it feel like you kind of broke the 4-minute mile here and actually completing a transaction strictly in cryptocurrency?
You know what? Looking back, kind of, yeah. I mean, when you're in the middle of it, trying to get the transaction done, you're not really looking up to see what everybody else is doing. You just want to get the transaction completed. But yeah, and then I went on to do, like I said, 4 more after that. I thought I was behind the 8 ball. Like I thought everybody was doing this. Like why would I be shoved into this role? And so I was actually at a blockchain meetup because I thought, well, I want to meet people in this space, and I want to meet people who are in crypto and all that. And they were passing the mic around, and I said, yeah, I've done a few transactions using crypto, and everybody just stopped and were like, what? And I thought, oh, wait, no, but everybody, really, I'm the only one that's doing this. And so that kind of held up a mirror, to me and go, "Oh, okay, wait, maybe I am kind of the forerunner here. I had no idea,
It's
honestly.
re- it's really fantastic, and it is the 4 minute mile, and it is the future of real estate and trading, in a lot of ways, or a big proponent of the future of real estate. And by the way, you can learn more about Piper Moretti. I'm probably pronouncing that correctly at
Right.
decryptorealtygroup.com. Decryptorealtygroup.com. Okay, so you did the first one. You broke the 4 minute mile. You're looking up and you're seeing people are finding out that you can do this, and it looks like you've gone on to do another few transactions. So
Mhm.
what have you learned from the first one to where you're at now, and how have you systematized the process to make it a more streamlined process for folks who have crypto right now and want to buy real estate?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, big question. So we worked through each one of those in a little bit differently than the next. It just depended on what the seller was willing to do and not do. Could we use a third party and transfer the funds that way? Looking back, we're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have done that. But it was still on the up and up. We didn't break any laws or anything. But the last one that I did, an escrow company that I work with here in Southern California. They actually got set up with BitPay, and that made my life so much easier. And the CEO of that escrow company, it's Guarantee Escrow. She saw the value in it, and she has completed, I think, maybe 11 or $12 million worth of transactions since then, which has been great for her. And she also now works as a sub escrow. So this is like a whole new venture for her. And she can work with any title company in the US. So that really streamlines the process, getting rid of a lot of headaches along the way. And now, when I consult with buyers, I want to see what they want to do. Do you want to cash out? Are you okay with those capital gains? Do you want to season them for a little bit? Do you want to get a collateralized loan? What's your end game here, and how do you want to maximize your crypto, I guess. So yeah, I mean, there's like I said, there's so many more options now than there were 5 years ago. You talked to my buyer from 5 years ago, that $3 million house is now worth, I don't know, 200 and something million dollars, in Bitcoin. If he could have done it any other way, he would have.
Yeah, and that's a great segue into kind of figuring out what the biggest frustration you found with folks that are wanting to sell, cryptocurrency and or buy real estate, and it's that capital gains tax that seems to be
Mm.
a big kind of, there's like a Grand Canyon, and it's the big, oh shoot, I have to take a big hit here.
Yeah.
So, what has been the biggest frustration there, and have there been any creative ways? You mentioned maybe a little bit of one of collateralizing a little bit, but would you walk us through? For those transactions you've done so far, have they had to have paid the capital gains tax on the transfer? Walk us through what happened and what the frustration is.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, I mean, it's the laws have evolved in the last few years, but as far as I know, they did have to pay capital gains on those, and they were all too happy to do so because they had this newfound wealth that they didn't have before, and they were happy to just take this money that they had, like made exponential return on and turn it into a luxury home in Southern California, which is not an easy feat, right? So at that time they're fine, but now it is a huge concern. People call me up and they're like, "Oh God, what about capital gains?" I say, you know what, you got to talk to a CPA, somebody who can help you with this. Now, if you're an investor, maybe you can mitigate that somehow. You can get an investment property, kick the can down the road a little bit, just get some skin in the game, but as an agent, I'm not a, financial advisor, and I make sure that they know that. But, I do try to, give them some options, and maybe go from there. But yeah, the collateralized loan option, not a taxable event. And you don't have to sell off your crypto. So it's kind of a win-win on that. front.
Let's walk through that, and then we'll
Mhm.
offer what we do and kind of talk about how we're doing this on our end, and maybe we can connect some cool things here.
Yeah.
Walk through the collateralized loan option. What is the loan collateralized against? Is it the Bitcoin or the BTC or whatever coin it might be? What's the interest rate that they're borrowing?
Mm.
And what's the time frame? What's the payment back? What does that kind of look like?
Sure. Yeah. Well, now there are so many platforms out there that are amazing. I love Celsius.network. They're one of my favorite. Aave is a really good platform. That's the Winklevoss twins. Another friend of mine who is an account manager at Helio Lending. They are actually an aggregator, and what they do is I hand over the client to them. They help them shop what their terms and their percentage rates and all that. So they're very competitive now. Whereas like maybe 5 years ago, Salt Lending was charging like 18%, for a crypto loan. It was insane. Now they're way below that. You can get them at 3, 4, 5%. You can get about 70% LTV. In some places, it just really depends. And yeah, you're not selling off your crypto. You are basically handing that over. You hand over, your private key or your passwords. Basically, they keep that crypto. They lend on it for whatever rates. I think the higher the LTV, the higher or the lower the rate. Something like that. But yeah, and the caveat with that is, though, they are very short-term loans. So you're looking at 6 months to a year payoff. But here's another thing. If crypto goes up, you can pay off your loan with the dividends, so to speak. That's kind of a win-win. And if it does dip down below a certain level, then yeah, there's a potential of them calling the loan, but that rarely happens. And again, it's not a taxable event. So, there's and you don't even have to buy a house with it. You can go out and buy a Lamborghini or whatever you want to do with it. So yeah, that's
Excellent. At least if I got that. Okay, so they're
Yeah.
short-term in nature, maybe 6 to 12
Mhm.
months, somewhere between 3 and 5%. The
Yeah.
good news is you're not having to pay capital gains tax because you're not selling the crypto or the Bitcoin. You're leveraging against it, right? You take a loan against it.
Yeah.
The downside, perhaps in my mind, is the values could drop, like margin calls or things like that. But I guess that's part of why they're also short in nature as well. So it's kind of almost like bridge lending. It's not really a long-term debt solution. It's like just kind of bridging the gap. Is that a fair summary so far?
Yeah. I think that's a great summation. Mhm.
Okay, cool. So now let's talk about the capital gains tax part and what we do with the Deferred Sales Trust. So we had a client who had Ethereum and Bitcoin, and this gentleman worked in the Silicon Valley for 20 years. He's married, 2 kids, he's working long hours, and he starts buying Ethereum at a very early adoption date, okay, and some Bitcoin. And all of a sudden, his $100,000 of investment goes to upwards of $6 million. Okay. And this is in 2017. He's looking for a way to invest it into real estate, to diversify, but he's huge. He's stuck because of this capital gains tax. So he doesn't sell. The market falls apart in 2000, into 2017, 18, right there. And now he's almost like, I almost lost it all, but he still didn't sell. He still was a long-term believer in it. And then his value went to 6 to 9 to 13 million here in the last year. All-time highs in Ethereum, right?
Mhm.
And he's like, oh my gosh, it's happening again. And so he found us and he's like, Brett, I want to buy, like everyone in California, a house in Tahoe, right? On the cabin, on the lake, right? Airbnb it, do some stuff. Can I do that? But I have this capital gains tax. What can I do? And so enter the Deferred Sales Trust. He was able to transfer 5 million on the first part of the 13 million, all tax deferred. Now he hasn't bought the Tahoe place yet. 1, the values are so high. And 2, he's waiting for a good deal. He also diversified into the stock market as his main holdings right now.
Mhm.
But number 2, he did another 2.5 million when Ethereum hit another high. We sold at 3,000 and then like at 4,200, I think. And so now there's 7.5 million that's tax deferred, that's waiting, and it's being patient, right? Of which he can go buy another piece of investment real estate or a business. Now it can't be put into a primary home. So that's the one thing where it becomes definitely a taxable event, but it can be investment property. But that is the power of the Deferred Sales Trust. And if anyone wants to learn about that, they can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. We too, like Piper, believe we've broken the 4-minute mile, and that no one that we know of has been able to do a deferred sales trust with very large amounts of cryptocurrency holdings, defer millions of dollars of tax. We've gone on to do it again with a Bitcoin owner. She worked for Google and she's in her 20s and she bought Bitcoin for 50,000 and it went to 50 million. Okay. She never sold, right? Your head explodes, right? Until she found us, she transferred, didn't sell. Here's the key. And it's kind of like a 1031 in that she had holdings and she's moved through the deferred sales trust, the ability to start a business and do some other things and diversify. Really powerful stuff. So I don't know. Had you heard of that before? I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on that and maybe ways that we could help the community that's listening to us right now?
You just blew my mind. I knew there was a way. I didn't know about the deferred sales trust, honestly. You are about to get so many of my clients because, like I said, that's the number one question. So yeah, there are lots of high net worth, newfound high net worth clients are coming through that need this type of thing. So I think that's brilliant. Good for you.
Thank you so much. And so anyone who wants to learn, go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. And you can also join our mastermind. It's our crypto DST mastermind that happens every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That's capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. You can register right now. Please share this with somebody who's listening right now. It can literally change their wealth and what they're trying to do with being able to diversify, defer tax, buy real estate, get cash flow. You can also reinvest back into crypto too at a lower price, all tax deferred. Again, capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. That being said, I want to shift into EXP. Okay. So full disclosure, we're proud of it. We're both believers and lovers of EXP Realty, EXP Commercial, and what it's been able to do to transform the real estate brokerage world. So I want to hear Piper's story on this. So Piper, tell us why EXP?
I'm not proud of the fact that I have bounced around a lot actually in my real estate career. And the reason for that is because I would find a broker. Oh yeah, we're all in demand and forward thinking with that. And it turns out they really weren't. They had no idea what to do with me, right? So and they were all great, brokerages for the most part. But then I get a call from who is now my sponsor at the end of last year. And she said, yeah, crypto's going to blow. And at the time it was maybe, I don't know, 13,000 or something. And I had some things happen, that just kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. And I just kind of left it alone there for a little bit. But I listened to her, thank God I did. And she said, you need to come over to EXP because our CEO is a huge crypto guy. And they will embrace you with your knowledge and your expertise and all that. So I said goodbye to my smaller brokerage and I came over to EXP and oh my God, they have been so welcoming, so open-minded. And the EXP Con I've already been in the brokerage for a little over a year now, but and EXP was Con was in November, I think. That was kind of like the validation, like the cherry on top, we did that. We decided to do that very last minute. And the response, and then I see our CEO, Glenn Sanford, standing in the corner and oh my God, I found my home. This is amazing. So it's tech driven. It's open minds, willing to collaborate. I love the fact that we're all in the cloud and we're all accessible at any given time. I mean, there's just so many good things to say about it.
It's exactly right. And for those who are wondering if it's this good to be true, I can tell you it's this good to be true. It's amazing. It's collaborative. It's future. It's technology. You can't put EXP in a box, right? In fact, they have EXP Commercial. I'm a multifamily broker. Started out at Marcus Millichap was my story. And same thing, even with the deferred sales trust, Marcus Millichap, I had one manager who was about it. And then the next one came in, and he was shutting it down. I'm like, what do you mean? This could solve problems for clients who want a 1031 to be saved. They can bring capital in from other assets to put into real estate. Why are we being closed-minded here? And they never had a good answer for that, except for we want to keep you in the 1031 exchange and keeping the transactions going. EXP, on the other hand, embraced it. I told him, I'm like, hey, I'm selling deferred sales trust. I do sell real estate for local clients. I go, but I'm a broker. But I go, I'm capital gains tax solutions. Are you okay with that? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. We're entrepreneurial real estate. Bring your ideas, bring the best, and let's figure out a way to help and serve more clients and
Yeah.
serve more agents and share our secrets. And part of what the secret is we become owners. So Piper and I are now owners in the same company, small owners, right? Very small owners, but
That's
as
great.
we sell, and she sells her $21 million of real estate. Oh, by the way, right? That she has listed right now. She gets stock. Okay. As she hits Icon Awards, she gets stock. As you bring and train and coach other real estate professionals, you get stock, and then you get some cash flow and some revenue share. And it's transforming the world. I think it's now 70,000 agents, Piper. So I'm curious, what was the biggest misconception that you had? Right. And how has it completely been just 180, shattered now? Like the false belief has been shattered. What was the biggest reason you didn't join? And then what's the biggest misconception and how's it been shattered?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's funny, everybody who's at their brokerage pretty much loves their brokerage, right? So I would talk to EXP, and at the time, even a year ago in my market, there weren't a lot of EXP agents, and now it's flooded. All the top producers in this very niche market have gone over to EXP. People I wouldn't even think would entertain it, but they actually saw the value. So again, that was kind of like oh wow, these people are going. But I'd already signed up to come over before that, So that kind of helped me in my decision. But you talk to people from other brokerages, and they're all like, rah rah, we love our brokerage, and you're like, okay, just stop, get out of my face. What's going on here? Like, there's got to be something weird. And I always shy away from like the sponsorship and like, oh, that's a little multi-level marketing-ish. I'm not that person at all. I run away from Mary Kay salespeople, all that kind of thing. But once I got in it and I learned what the actual model was all about and the benefits that they have and the discounted stock options and everything they do to take care of you as an agent, not a lot of brokerages will do that. They don't. A lot of brokerages say they care about their agents, but they really don't. And EXP does. I mean, it's very agent centric, and yeah, boy, I was so wrong about a lot of things, EXP.
Yeah. And same way I had 5 years ago, I was approached and I was like, nah, it's not for me.
Yeah,
One, I'm commercial. Two, I'm doing tax deferral. You guys are a residential side and it sounded too MLM. I'm like, I didn't even want to touch it. And then I went on to have like my 2 biggest years in brokerage, and literally just in the stock that I would have earned, not even signing anyone else up, just the commissions that I closed and the deals I had, it would be worth like $750,000 today. I'm like, oh man, shoot. Well, my broker didn't give me $750,000 or even a chance to get that, right? And so it's the rich dad, poor dad. And that if you read the book by Robert Kiyosaki, it's either what side of the boxes are you on? Are you in the right side of the quadrant or the left side of the quadrant? The left side is W-2, self-employed. The right side is business owner and investor. And when you can apply that model to your brokerage that you're at right now, and ask yourself, what side am I on? And then, by the way, I also went on to be my own broker owner. I am a broker. I have my own ownership of my own company, and I couldn't have the tools, the collaboration, the networking, the discounts, the ability to connect and do more deals nationwide, all of it, on and on and on and on. And so I chose as a broker, even though I have my own brokerage, to align and connect and collaborate and grow. And you're right. At a certain point, you're like, these are my people, right? And I encourage anyone who's considering, if you're entrepreneurial, you're in real estate, you're into crypto, you're into tax deferral, you're into solving problems, just come experience it. Come to an EXP event, start to learn from those who are best in the business and see if they can align with you strategically and financially. So we encourage you to do that. And again, by the way, you can connect with Piper right now by going to the cryptorealtygroup.com, the cryptorealtygroup.com. You connect with me by going to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. We're going to move into the lightning round. Are you ready, Piper?
Oh my God. Yeah, sure.
All right. Knowing what you know now, if you go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget you'd make sure to tell yourself to do?
Oh my God. Keep being yourself. Just be the awesome self that you are and don't change for anybody.
Love it. What's the number one book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
Oh my gosh. Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza.
Ooh, I haven't heard of that one yet. That sounds cool. Becoming Supernatural. Yeah. Very cool. I'm writing that down. Next question. What are you most curious about right now?
the metaverse. I gotta get my feet wet. Definitely.
What's a good place to start? Where do you start on that one?
I'm actually going to, well, I created an account on Decentraland. So that's one. It's between Decentraland and Sandbox at the moment. Kind of leaving the whole Facebook meta thing alone for now. But yeah, I'm gonna probably set up shop in Sandbox, it looks like.
So I was talking to a buddy about this whole thing, and he was all psyched about it. And I was like, "Hey, have you seen the movie Ready Player One?" He's like, "No." And I'm like, "What? How are you so psyched about this? You haven't seen that movie?" I'm like, "Go see that movie. It's such a cool movie." Decentraland and Sandbox. I'll have to check those out. Next question. What's the number one leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
Oh my goodness. Theme. It's funny. I reread all of not all of it, a couple of the Rich Dad books. So I'm really, really glad that you mentioned those. Yeah, I mean, business, I love the right side, the business quadrant and the investor quadrant, and like which dad are you really, like and I've really grown from the poor dad mentality to the rich dad mentality just in the last few years, and it's amazing what it's done in my business and in my personal life as well. So I guess that would be like a good theme. I guess.
It's a fantastic theme.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's something that I likewise, I'm rereading Cash Flow Quadrant and Rich
Yeah.
Dad, Poor Dad. And I think even Robert, he just did a talk on Bigger Pockets podcast like 6 months ago, whatever. Like look up that talk. Like it's amazing. It's about an hour-long podcast. It's kind of long, but like he dives into some of the coolest, most, I think, thoughtful discussion points of what's happening right now. But yeah, Robert Kiyosaki, we applaud you. We thank you. Yeah, for Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and everything that you're teaching everybody in real estate world. Last question. So after all your success, after helping all the people you've helped, after being on the cutting edge for cryptocurrency and buying real estate, how do you stay centered in your values, and how do you stay encouraged to charge forward to reach new heights?
Oh boy. Well, I do. I meditate almost every day that I can. And that's how I feel like I stay centered. Um, my boyfriend keeps me centered, keeps my ego in check. That's for sure. But again, I think it just comes down to listening and being empathetic towards others' needs. And I think that the authenticity is the name of the game, honestly.
Fantastic, Piper. I want to thank you for being on the show. I want to thank you for sharing so much wisdom with us. I want to encourage you to keep using your strengths of listening and being open to new ideas and new ways of doing things. The crypto world, the real estate world, the wealth world needs more professionals just like you who are changing the game. You, for those who want to get connected with you, would you remind them one last time what's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, you can do it through my website. I've got all my contact info on there, or you can just do piper@thecryptorealtygroup.com.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for being on the show. I also want to thank our listeners for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. Also stream on expertcresecrets.com, by the way, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy, such as the Deferred Sales Trust, is the best way to defer millions of dollars in capital gains tax on high-end primary homes, businesses, real estate, save a failed 1031 exchange, cryptocurrency, so that you can create and preserve more wealth or help your clients do the same. I encourage you to go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn more about how Deferred Sales Trust can help you and how we can help you build your business with the Deferred Sales Trust. Thanks so much, everyone, for listening. We encourage you to rate, review, subscribe, and we will talk to you again